It's Thursday, March the 4th. Lake level's 913 and like 913.9, just under 914. About the same level it's been for the last 2 weeks or so. Water's starting to warm up a little bit. I was out today for a little bit, and I'm seeing a lot of 43-degree water. And like I mentioned last week, there was a tournament Saturday, the Anglers in Action. I think it had 126, almost 130 boats in it. And, the weights were pretty good. I think it took 18 pounds to win it, but there were several bags of fish in the 17 to 15 pound range. And that was pretty impressive, considering we had a 2.5 hour fog delay. I pretty much struggled. We had 3 that weighed 10 pounds. We're getting the right bites, but just not enough of them. I actually thought the weights, we're going to see some 20-pound bags. But probably that 2.5 hour fog delay in the morning, cut the day short and missed out on some of the best bite. But for the most part, I think it's still pretty tough. I'm not going to show you jerk baits and Alabama rigs. That's what we've been talking about for the last 2-3 weeks. But they're still going to be, a player. Now, today when I was out, I did a little video for Table Rock Lake Fishing Intel, where it was 2 hours on the water to catch some fish. And, there was not a breath of wind, not the most ideal conditions for throwing a jerkbait, but that's how I was trying to catch them. I did catch one about 3 pounds and a couple short fish. But now I'm starting to get into my guiding season, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more productive on what I throw. Sometimes I get a little stubborn throwing, the jerkbait and Alabama rig, trying to catch bigger fish. But I'm going to have to downsize, start going to some smaller baits. But I feel as the water's starting to warm up, there's going to be a lot more different ways to get bit. Now, one thing about the shad, I am seeing some shad dying, but I haven't seen it real bad any place on the lake. A lot of the pockets I go into, I might see 3 to 5 dead ones, but nothing really bad yet. I'm still assuming that we're going to have a shad kill at different parts of the lake. Now, I heard up in the White River there was areas that there was a pretty bad shad kill going on, but I hadn't seen it. I've been fishing from about Ants Creek to Baxter up towards the dam, and where I've been, it hasn't been too bad. But, a lot of different other ways to catch fish. A little grub or a little swim bait is going to start to come into play pretty good. And I am starting to see a few more fish suspended for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm not alone. A lot of the guys, we've all been talking about this. Normally this time of year, the fish get up in the water column. When they start to move out of that deeper water, before they move to the bank, they suspend. And we haven't been seeing too much of that. I've seen a few more today. But a lot of the fish seem like they're relating more to the bottom. So it depends how I fish the underspin, little swim baits, in relation to where I'm seeing the fish. If I'm not seeing much up there suspended, I'll start fishing some main lake secondary points. I'll fish them closer to the bottom. As far as how deep, you shouldn't have to get much deeper than 25 to 30 feet. Now my jerkbait fish, they've been coming relatively shallow. They're fished at a staging out in front of the spawning areas. They've been out of timber or rock that's 12 to 15 foot deep, and they've been suspended in that stuff about 8 to 10 feet. But I haven't seen a lot of them suspended. But the little underspin, little swim bait, here's a little Ned rig, 5 fish lures, ultimate Ned jig head on a little 3-inch swim bait, because a lot of the shad, it's probably about a 2-inch, 2.5 inch, but a lot of the shad that are dying are about that big. So I'll just take this, cast it out on a 6-pound line, and just swim it back to the boat real slow. It's also time to start throwing a Ned rig. This is the same Ned head, 5 fish lures, ultimate Ned jig head. And what I've got is a ledge rock lures, little baby craw on it, which is, he's got these, it's a medium, this is a baby chunk, they've got them in a medium chunk, but it's really good looking crawdad little bait. And I actually tied living rubber on it for the skirt. I like the living rubber a little bit better than silicone in this cold water, because when you're fishing it real slow, the living rubber tends to pulsate and move a little bit in the water, a little bit better than a silicone skirt. But another bait that'll start coming into play is a a swing head, or like a wobble head. This is one that Pig Sticker makes. And I'll throw a 1/2 ounce. And a good bait to use, I like to use a Strike King Menace. You know, and a green pumpkin. This is a green pumpkin, or blue craw. It's basically a green pumpkin with a little blue swirl in it. But the way I fish this a lot of times, I'll just cast it to the bank and keep a steady retrieve on it, but just keep it bouncing off the bottom real slow. Most of the time the bites aren't that aggressive. All of a sudden it'll just load up, you know, get a little heavy. But as far as a certain area of the lake, I'm probably going to fish the James River tomorrow. Where we haven't had any big rain influx, the water is in really good shape pretty much throughout the lake. About the same clarity, which is extremely clear. But, you know, I'm starting to see a little bit more bait, a little higher in the water column, you know, shallower. I haven't seen too much out there deep fishing. As far as vertical fishing, usually about, you know, this time of year, them fish start to disperse, and that's normally what we see out there suspended. I keep talking about them suspended fish, and I hope it happens, because it usually does every year, but when they start suspending in that 12 to 20 foot, sometimes it might be over 50 to 60 foot of water, other times it'll be over 20 or 30 feet, but that's where that little, like a little 4-inch chompers, single tail grub, smoke with red flake, a little 2.8 Kitech or Rage Swimmer will work on a 3/16 or 1/4 ounce head. Now, if you're just getting your boats out for the first time this year, you're starting to have some battery issues, we're sat in that extreme cold. If you're in Springfield, go check out the guys at Boatworks. They've got a full line of Pro Guide batteries there. They're also open on Saturdays now. If you're down at the lake in the Branson, Kimberling City area, Ulrich Marine has got a full line of Pro Guide batteries, as does Extreme Outdoors down there. So whether it's for your bass boat, or your recreation boat, pontoon boat, this is the time of year, it seems like that boat's been sitting out there. You go to crank it up, you know, and it's got a dead battery. And also Battery Outfitters there in Springfield. It's got a store there. So hopefully, you know, I mean, this weather's been awesome. It's like 70 degrees today. I think every day that it stays good and warm like this, with the temperatures staying fairly warm at night, water's going to warm up and the fishing's just going to start getting better and better. So until next week, good luck, good fishing.